Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvikacharya Ashtotar Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvikacharya Ashtotar Shashi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Koho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Shama Kund Arakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuni Mai Ki Devi Ji Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Anatakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, thank you everyone for joining. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, text 14. There's a very famous verse, but I think it's very important that we understand it. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva yepapadyante mayam evam tarantate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material nature, the original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal, superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Buddha, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the Supreme Will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by a divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows: Mayam tu prakritim vidyan mayinam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya, or illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the Supreme Magician, the Personality of Godhead, who is Maheshvara, the Supreme Controller. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot set himself free. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representatives, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of the illusory energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words Mam Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna or Vishnu only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajagun, passion, and Tamagun, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.8, confirm this in the phrase Tam Eva Viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnur Evana Samshayaha. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Pre Vancha Kalpatribhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse is telling us how difficult it is to be released from Krishna's divine energy, Maya. You know, I never understood this word Maya before until I came to Krishna consciousness. And a lot of people, they're actually naming their children Maya. One of the places that I've been distributing books is at Balboa Park. And Balboa Park, you see all types of different people. And last Saturday, there was a march or a protest. It was against abortion, you know, that law. And actually, just to have that protest about abortion, whether to legalize it or not, it just means that we failed as a society, you know, because everyone's also thinking that they're the body. Not only that, but they don't understand the laws of karma. Everything happens for a reason, we just can't see it. And His Grace, Vijay Prabhu, he used this example. You're walking down the boardwalk here, and you see someone getting arrested. The police is tackling someone, and you're thinking, oh, this is police brutality. But 15 minutes ago, you didn't see what this person did. They must have robbed the bank, or they murdered someone. So we don't see the past, and we don't see the future. We just think it's immediate. And at Balboa Park, this verse reminded me of, I was setting up a book table, and right to my right side, it was a man. He set up this hanging bar. I'm not sure if you've seen it. If you could hold on to this bar for 120 seconds, which is 2 minutes, you can win $100. So, yeah. And so, saw that? Yeah. So, a lot of people, despite seeing so many failed attempts, everyone's thinking, I'm going to be the one to do it. I was there for like 5 minutes, just setting up, and I already saw 10 people fail. And new people come, new groups come, and they're thinking, I'm going to do it. They're doing it for different reasons, but one of the reasons to show off to their friends or to their girlfriend or wife. And as usual, they may hang on for 1 minute, 1 minute and 30 seconds, but then they can't make it. Why? Because the bar actually twists. So it's rigged. And it takes endurance to actually beat the system, but it's very difficult. And what's funny is that a lot of people that tried this obstacle, they were very fit. Physically, they were qualified to pass this test. But it's cheating because even if your arm is like this, it will twist. And you can't put it opposite directions. The person, he tells you, you can only face this way or this way. So even the person that's conducting it is cheating. And for the first 5 seconds is free. But if you want to try it, I think it's like $5. So you can imagine how much money he made. So similarly, everyone's thinking that I'm going to overcome this material nature. I'm going to be able to manipulate it. Just like in the Mahabharata, it's a very famous line. When Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he was questioned by this being from the waters, it was actually Yamaraj, his father. And he asked him different questions, And it was described that Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was very thirsty. He was very fatigued. All of his brothers, they drank from this lake without asking permission, and they actually fainted, or they were unconscious. So this being asked Yudhishthira Maharaj, what is the most phenomenal thing about this material world? And what did Yudhishthira Maharaj say? He said, countless creatures are going to the abode of Yamaraj, the abode of death, but those that remain believe themselves to be immortal. So everyone's thinking like that. We see our grandfather getting old and then they die. We see our father, they're getting old and they also leave their body. But everyone's thinking death is going to make an exception for me. But that's not how it works actually. So this material nature is divine because it's part of Krishna. Just like each soul, we're also part of Krishna, so that means we're also divine. But now we're in this illusion that this body, and in relation to this body is mine, aham mameti. I was distributing books today, and I asked someone, what makes you happy? And I like to ask questions because it gets some kind of thinking, There's other things to worry about, or there's other things to search for in material life, not just earning wealth. And what they will tell me is that their family makes them happy. And I said, that's very good. Actually, Rishabhadev, an incarnation of Krishna, he tells his sons that the duty of the father and the mother is to educate their children in morality and the values of life. But a lot of people in the West, they don't tell their kids this. They tell them, get a big bank account, get a good job, get a good wife, this and that. Materialistic goals. And so I tell them there's actually another type of happiness, spiritual happiness. And I tell them that there's a vacuum in the heart because the soul is searching for spiritual happiness. But we're looking for happiness in this temporary material world. Therefore, we will never be satisfied. And I tell them that millionaires, sports stars, celebrities, despite having wealth, followers, and fame, you hear it in the news, they're jumping off of their balconies. They're committing suicide, they're taking their own life. So I tell them, why is that? And then they finally understand that there is another type of happiness that doesn't depend on material circumstances. Srila Prabhupada, he tells this story that he would see this in New Delhi. Hundreds of young men that would take the train. It would take 2 to 3 hours to get to their job. They work hard from 10 to 5, and then they have to return again to the train station. And it takes another 2 or 3 hours to go back. So they waste about 6 hours riding on the train to their houses. And he says that when we reach out to them and we tell them, please join us, join this Krishna conscious movement, they refuse. Because they think this is the goal of life, is to work hard to accumulate money or wealth, and then at the end, give it to your family. But Chanakya Pandit, he says that family members can also be enemies. There's 4 types of enemies in a family. Do you guys know what they are?
Ones who take money?
Close. So Chanakya Pandit, he says there's 4 types of enemies in the family. The first one is a father who is a debtor. Because in the Manu Samhita, it says that when the father passes away, naturally the son inherits the wealth. So similarly, if the father is in debt, the son also inherits the debt. The second was the unchaste wife. And actually, it's the unchaste mother. Yeah. And then the third one is a beautiful wife. And then the fourth one is a foolish son. Yeah. Because a foolish son, he not only does he make the family look bad, but he actually takes the wealth that the money or the wealth that the parents work hard for, and he spends it on stupid things. You know, you see that in the West a lot. And therefore there's written wills, you know. I want to give this money, I want to give this property to this son. They don't divide equally. And so Srila Prabhupada, he describes that as a mother and a father, they have duties, higher duties, not just to raise them, but to also teach them God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, the aim of life. When I speak to families on book distribution and when I know they have a child, I like to tell them, I ask the children, what are you pursuing in life? What would you like to do? And they would tell me, I want to be a teacher, a doctor. And I tell them, that's very good, because at least they have some type of goal. Nowadays, people are lost, especially the younger generation. They don't even... I was talking to Bhakti Dimitri about this. You know, at the park, they're very young and they're acting like adults, you know. They're going to the park, they're going out on dates, and they hardly have any money with them, maybe $20. They spend this on coffee or drinks, and when I ask them for a donation, they can't give. So I feel sorry for them, so I give them a small book. And I tell them, please take the time to read this. And this material energy, not only is it very difficult, but there's also the threefold miseries. The Adhyatmika, which is miseries caused by the body and mind. Adidaivika, which is the demic or natural disturbances. And then there's the Adibhautika, other living entities that cause us misery. Just like I may want to take a nap, but an ant bites me, so I'm disturbed. So that's an example of Adibhautika. A living entity is causing me some type of misery. And then we may have the perfect setting, we may have the right conditions, but then an earthquake comes and then shakes the whole. So we can't, that's divine energy actually. It's caused by the demigods or natural disturbances. And then one of the most prominent ones is the Adhyatmika, misery caused by the mind and body. And in old age, you hear this a lot, that the body starts creaking, you know. I was giving a class the other day on Srimad Bhagavatam, and I was describing how Vidura was telling the blind king Dhritarashtra to give up household life. Because there's a few reasons. The first one is that he actually tried killing his nephews, the Pandavas, and he was causing plans on how to upsurge the kingdom from them. He actually did. And he banished the Pandavas and a year in incognito. So he told them, he was very harsh in his speech. He used sharp words. He said, your teeth are falling out. You know, your lungs are filled with mucus. Your memory's dull, and your family has already left you. Your sons, all of his 100 sons, they were killed in the battlefield. Not only that, but your brothers, you know, they left. So then when Dhritarashtra heard this, he immediately left. And he took Gandhari, yeah, his wife with them. Yeah, living in the, yeah. You tried killing the Pandavas, but you're living in their home. So he said, don't you have shame? So Dhritarashtra, he actually had some sense and he left. When the sages of Nairashari, I can't say it. But they were discussing this future, the the conditions of this Kali Yuga. So they said, Prayena Payushaha Sabya Kalavasmin Yugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hi Upadritaha. Srila Prabhupada, he would quote this a lot. So, Prayena Payushaha Sabya, that means that we don't live very long. We, at utmost, 100 years. And in our 100 years, how many of people would actually dedicate their life to practicing spiritual life? Not many. And then, Manda Sumanda Matayo. People are very lazy, not only in material endeavors, but spiritual endeavors. And then Sumanda Matayo, misguided. There's so many cheaters out there. And Srila Prabhupada, he describes that there was a rascal. He was claiming that he was God. And then a few days later, he had a toothache. And he was saying, oh. So Srila Prabhupada said, you claim that you're God, the supreme controller, but you're being controlled by a toothache. What kind of God are you? So there's a lot of people there that are misleading the innocent public. And not only that, but they're manda bhagya, they're unlucky. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that when a poor man is offered billions of dollars and he refuses, doesn't that make him unfortunate? So that's actually what's happening when I distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. I actually have to beg them, please take this book. This book will make your life successful. Not only that, but it could change your way of living. But they still refuse. There was a Mataji in La Jolla Cove. I use this example. I said, we have billions of dollars here. You don't want to take it? And she said, no. And then she said, I'm rich. And I told her, tell me what is rich mean? And so she was telling me her material calculations, you know. And I told her all of that will be taken away at the time of death. And see, a lot of people, this yoga maya, this illusion is covering everyone's intelligence. And one of the biggest illusions is that they're going to keep the same body forever. That's why there's billion-dollar industries, Botox, plastic surgery. I was distributing books in Balboa Park, and there was these two gentlemen. And one of them had really nice teeth, like white, pearly white. And he looked so straight, you know. So after they took a book, I told him, wow, you have really nice teeth. And he smiled and said, thank you. And his friend told him, yeah, he paid $10,000 for it. So they were artificial, you know. So people are trying to make this body very beautiful as long as they can. But my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj, he would use this example. If I give you a coal and I ask you to polish it to make it clean, is that possible? No. Because the nature of coal, it's black. And whatever when you use a scrub, that scrub will also turn black. So similarly, this material world is full of suffering. And Srila Prabhupada, he says the four defects are birth, disease, old age, and death. We can't escape this. And the modern atheistic scientists, they're claiming that we can solve death, but we can't. And today there was a tent set up next to Vijay behind him. They were your friendly neighborhood atheists. And in their tent it says, relax. There is no heaven, there is no hell, just enjoy. So you can enjoy, how long will you enjoy your so-called happiness? And so in the purport, he was mentioning that even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they're under the influence of Maya. They can't break free. If you are trying to get a job and you want to make a good impression, you don't go to the secretary. You want to go directly to the boss, right? So similarly, Krishna says in the translation, Mam eva ye prapadyante. Those that surrender unto me, he can actually order Maya to release her grip or her clutches on the conditioned soul. So that's causeless mercy. Just like a lot of people, this is a very controversial topic, but if we were once in the spiritual world, why did we fall down, right? Anyway. So then I heard from a lecture that just like there's causeless mercy, there's causeless envy. We saw Krishna enjoying, and we thought, hey, I want to be like Krishna. So then Krishna gives us this material world to try to be Krishna. People that come on book distribution, they see the austerities that the book distributors go through. And do you guys know Bhakti Joseph? Okay, he's kind of elderly. And so anyway, Bhakti Joseph, he went with me on books one time. And he was angry. I told him, Joseph, why are you agitated? He said, they're ignoring you. They're purposely ignoring you. And he said, back in the day, they would at least say no thank you. They would have the manners to tell you no thanks. But they would look the other way. Or even some of them, they would even go out of their way to avoid me like that. So he was angry. He said, why aren't they acknowledging you? And I told him they're under Maya, illusion. And even sometimes devotees, we can fall into Maya if we are not that surrendered. And it's very unfortunate, but that's how strong Maya is. It's very difficult. And when the great demon Hiranyakashipu, he approached Lord Brahma, thinking he was the supreme. He asked Lord Brahma for immortality. But what did Lord Brahma say? I can't give it to you because I myself is not immortal. So then he started thinking of ways, conditions on how to live forever. I don't want to die night or day. I don't want to die by any man, animal, or demon. I don't want to be killed in or out of my house. I don't want to be killed on land, on the air, the ocean. He was thinking of so many ways. He thinks he could cheat Krishna. When the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says among gamblers on the cheat. So we can't cheat Krishna. So then Krishna appeared as Lord Nrsimhadev. He appeared as a half man and half lion. So he was neither a man, animal, or demon, or a demigod. He was a combination of both. Even Lakshmi Devi, she didn't recognize Lord Nrsimhadev. And not only that, but how did Lord Nrsimhadev kill Hiranyakashipu? With his nails. So it's not weapon, it's a natural weapon for an animal. And he killed them what time of the day? Noon, yeah, dawn. And then where did he kill him? On the threshold. So it's not inside or outside of the house. And how did he kill him? On his lap. So yeah. So Lord Krishna, he's very wonderful. He has a nice sense of humor. And another thing to consider is that this energy of Krishna is divine. We forget that. It is material, but it's still related to Krishna. Like in the purport, it was saying it's in connection with Krishna, therefore it's divine. And he mentioned if someone is bound up by a rope, another person that's bound can't release him. He needs a person that's liberated. Therefore, we need Krishna's mercy or someone that's a representative of Krishna. I was just reading books today, and I asked this person, what is the goal of life? He said, I don't know. So I offered him a book, The Journey of Self-Discovery. I told him this book is probably the most important book you'll ever read. Because in this Kali Yuga, everyone's very superficial. They base everything off of appearance. And so the title itself, The Journey of Self-Discovery, is a very attractive title. So I offered this book to him, and at the end, he said, I can't wait to read this. See, the soul is searching for answers. And when they meet a devotee, there was a devotee here, his name is Narada Nirvana Prabhu, and he said something that stuck to me. He said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So the living entity is not stupid. They can sense if a person is sincere or if a person is faking it. And so I told him we just want to help people. This other time, this man, he was asking me, how much do you get paid for this? You know, and I smiled and I told him I don't get paid for this. And he couldn't believe it. I told him I'm out here 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And he said, I'm just trying to help people find their way home back to Godhead. And at first he was a little aggressive. He was a little ill-mannered, I should say. But then as I was speaking to him, he understood that this guy is real. He's not getting paid for this. He's just trying to distribute these wonderful books. And it says that the first item in the Bhagavad Gita of knowledge is humility. I tell them these books, they help you to develop 3 qualities: humility, forgiveness, and mercy, which is very much lacking in today's world. And when they look around, they understand it's true. Everyone's fighting with one another because it's based off of the bodily conception of life. And I was distributing books again today, and this person asked me a very nice question. He said, why do you do this? You know, and I told him this isn't the first time I've been asked this question. So I told him, if you have a very rare gem, wouldn't you want to share it with others, you know? And this person said, yeah, that's a good one. So I told him, well, we're distributing our priceless jewels, you know? And so I said, please take one, you know? And so I asked him, do you like to cook? I bring different books on book distribution because not many people are inclined to philosophy. They're not so inclined to reading a lot. So I bring smaller or to medium and big books also. So I asked him, do you like to cook? He said, yeah. So I give him the higher taste. At least that can start them on becoming vegetarian. And actually in the book, it teaches them how to offer prasadam to Krishna or bhoga to Krishna, and then becomes prasadam. And I show them the pictures, and they're attracted by it. And at the end, I tell my favorite is cheesecake. You know, everyone likes cheesecake. And then I also tell them that this book, it helps you to become humble in life. Because when someone's puffed up, everyone loses interest very quickly. When they're very self-centered, I did this is my accomplishments, it gets very boring once in a while. But if you start being humble, you know, like this one time, this person asked me, what's your name? Because I asked him, what's your name, you know, so I can thank them. And I told him, I'm insignificant. And this person, she started crying. And I said, are you okay? And she said, you know, I never met anyone that, and I told him it's not low self-esteem, but it's to really understand your position, that I'm an eternal servant of the servant of the servant. Das, das, anu, das, anu, das. That it? Yeah. So, another thing that I tell people on book distribution is that sometimes I ask them a question, you know, and one of the biggest questions I ask them is that, what happens when all of your wealth is taken away? You know, I like to say sharp words to them. And then they tell me, it goes to my children. And I tell them, how do you know it goes to your children? After you leave your body, you don't know what's happening. So I tell them that everything that you accomplish in this world is temporary. You can't keep it with you. And a lot of people, they need that nice reminder. You know, it's true, I can't keep anything with me. And so one of the ways to overcome this material nature is to surrender unto Krishna. That's actually our natural position in life. To understand that by serving Krishna, we ourselves become happy. Just like watering the root of a tree. When you water the roots, everything else is nourished. The tree, the branches, the twigs, the flowers, the leaves, everything. So when we serve Krishna, when we surrender to Krishna, we are situated in what Srila Prabhupada says, our constitutional position. And then Krishna also says a very nice instruction. What's that? Sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasami masucha. That don't fear, just abandon all forms of religions or all forms of duties and just surrender to Krishna. That will actually make us happy, and that will help us to be released from this material nature, this illusion that we're in. Okay, I think that's all I have. Is there any questions, comments, or reflections?
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's really very nice.
Thank you.
I really like that point that you were saying that you told that girl that, and she was crying that I'm insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very insignificant.
Yeah.
That means that people are so, some people are so sensitive that they think like that oh my God, this person is like,
Yeah.
yeah, and still he's thinking like that he's very insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
And like one thing that you were saying that you ask somebody that you know what is going to happen with your money.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna, can you use the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, my tapas is always on it.
Hare,
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Yes, use the microphone.
So yeah, I really like that point that you were saying that you were asked that that person that you know what is going to happen with that your money after you. Then that person was saying that it goes to my kids. But this truth that nobody knows what is going to happen with that, because we don't know that kids are what they are going to do with that if they don't have that true value. They just waste that money.
Yeah.
So I really like that, because he wasted his life to accumulate that money, and at the same time he wasted his kids also life, because he didn't give that how to use, how to properly utilize this money, how to utilize that time and money, everything. So I really like that your point. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah.
One quick story. I was working at Coronado. It's a materially so-called opulent place. And there was a lady that we were taking care of. She was a millionaire. And who did she give her wealth to? Her cat. She didn't trust any family member. She didn't have any friends. So money brings artificial friendships. Not only that, but it brings so much anxiety, you know. I was working at this other place, and my coworker, she just bought a brand new nice Mercedes. And I asked her, where did you park your car? And she said, I had to sneak it inside the parking lot. She didn't want to leave her car outside because she was so much in anxiety about getting it scratched, about it getting dented, you know. So I told her, how can you enjoy that if you're always worrying about it, you know? So many people that are attached to so many unnecessary things. Srila Prabhupada says, we're living artificial lives, you know. We don't need a lot to be happy. Oh, and I tell the people that I meet, these books, they help you to live simple lives, and they appreciate that. So yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. I like the part of this verse where it says that as we surrender to Krishna, then, you know, all our problems go away. Maya meta tarantite. So I just wanted to share similar verse from Bhagavatam, which speaks the same thing. Okay,
Please.
this is in 10th canto, 14th chapter, 58th verse. It says that for those who have accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of material world is like water contained in a calf's hoof print. The goal is Param Padam Vaikuntha, the place where there is no material misery, not the place where there is danger at every step. So if we take shelter of Krishna, the problems which are like as big as the ocean, they become as small as the water contained in the hoof print of a calf.
Yeah. We don't even need to cross over, we just gotta step over it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's different analogies, but just like a swimmer, he may swim from one end to another end, but he can never cross the ocean. So similarly, when we take shelter from fallible soldiers, it's like grabbing the tail of a dog, you know. They can't save us.
Exactly.
So the only way is to really surrender to Krishna.
Exactly.
You know, Vijay Prabhu, he inspired me also. When I first started going on book distribution, I asked him, Vijay, I got so many rejections, so many no's. Doesn't that ever bother you? And Vijay Prabhu, the first thing he did was laugh. He said, he said, no, you know. He says it's purifying. Not only that, but we can see there's so many people that are in the clutches of illusion, you know. They're thinking this is all there is. Sorry, one more thing. I met a scientist yesterday, and I asked him, what's the purpose of life? And he said, there is no purpose. And I said, really? And I told him, everything we make has a purpose. The purpose of a watch is to tell time. The purpose of a table is to hold things on it. The purpose of a microphone is to amplify volume. So you're telling me there's no purpose to life? How is that logic? And I started thinking, and I told him, please get a book. I gave him The Science of Self-Realization. He took the book, and we were kind of discussing a few other topics, but I told him, you know, I would really love to speak to you, but after you read this book, maybe we can discuss. Because I told him every question, everything that you'll tell me, I guarantee it'll be in the book. Yeah. So yeah, book distribution is a very nice service, and I'm very thankful that I developed a taste for book distribution. And we're gonna, if you tune in tomorrow for Mangal Arati, we're gonna announce the score. A lot of devotees went out today, a lot. So it'll be really nice, and so I think it'll be enlivening for everybody.
Very nice.
Okay. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for the
Hare
wonderful
Krishna.
class. Hare
Granth
Krishna.
Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Govardhan Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.